Hello. What? I don't. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Did you guys get a notification
No.
that the
About
show
what?
is live? My
No.
Yeah.
my. I don't know what. I have made RU Media Network a favorite. I have tried so
Uh,
many things, and it just does not come up for me.
It does in
So
my business suites thing. I get a
oh, I didn't.
notification from that.
Yeah, because you can't. If you're like using RU Media, you have to have that business, the Facebook
Mhm.
business, whatever it is.
It's a pain in the
dumb.
tuchus.
Maybe
But so no,
that's
I
why.
didn't. I did not get a notification that we were
Okay,
live
so
on Facebook.
anyone who's watching, can you please share the show and tag me in it so that people can see it? Because I cannot share it. But we have a special, very important topic show today. Um, since I started this, I always reached out to people and I said, tell me what you want to talk about. And this is a huge topic that people want to talk about. Parent guilt is a very, very, very real thing. I apologize in advance because I call it mom guilt all the time. Sorry, Goose, but it's just
All right.
mom guilt is what I know, but parent guilt, same thing. So we've brought in some parents to talk about it. So you guys want to introduce yourselves and just say who you are and how many kids you have. How about that? Goose, you can go first.
I'm the Goose, Ray Gooseby. You guys already know me for the most part. But anyways, I got two kids, two girls, 12 and 15. Had to think about it. There's number one for parent guilt. How old are my
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah. What's your birthday?
That's
Ugh.
I am Judy Lynn. I also go by Judy, and I have a 5-year-old son. Just one for me.
I am Oliver Snack Wench, aka Ashley Storm, aka MC Stormy D. And I have one little one, Mr. Oliver Williams. He is 3 years old. Yeah, he's 3 now.
He's 3. Oh my God.
He's as old as COVID.
Yeah. So I guess I've got the trophy for the most spawns. I've got 3 boys, 9, 11, and 18. My 18-year-old will be 19 next month. So this is not my first rodeo. I was thinking about it though. Like, I think that the parent guilt thing was a lot easier for me with my oldest, just because his dad and I split up when he was really young. So I had like weekends off. I know that sounds terrible, but like I had weekends where I could still do whatever I wanted and I didn't have to feel bad because he was at his dad's house. It's not like I was missing out on time with him or, whatever. But with the younger two, it seems to be a lot stronger just because, they don't go anywhere, so if I do go somewhere, I am missing out on time with them. So it makes it a little bit harder. But that brings me to the first thing that I wanted to talk about, because, if we're being 100% honest, we are not raising our kids in the same world that our parents raised us in, right? Very
Absolutely
different.
not. No way.
And I very distinctly remember always being either at my cousin's house or they were at our house, or, we had sleepovers all the time. There's so many people who say it takes a village. And I feel like our parents had that village. They had like, let's be honest, our parents were going out on the weekend. That's why we were having sleepovers. It wasn't because we wanted to hang out. We did, yeah, and we loved having our cousins over or being at their house or whatever, but it was so our parents could take turns going out, and I don't know about
never
you guys,
thought
but
about it like that until you just said it. My mind is blown.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's so different.
My parents never went out, so I don't know. This was some kind of church activity.
I don't have that. I don't have people that I just drop my kids off with randomly every other weekend, and then I watch their kids every other weekend, So it's definitely a different world that we're parenting our children in.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't know. Do you guys agree? I have a hard time trusting anybody, like since becoming a mom. Like I feel
Yeah.
like even when I went to my friend's house,
Yeah.
like my mom didn't care. I walked like all the way across my city to go to my friend's
Yeah.
house when I was like 10 years old or whatever. And she was like, yeah, just go ahead, go. And I just walked up and down the streets all the time. And now
Yeah.
like I'm terrified. Like I don't want, like my son's too young yet for sleepovers, but I'm like, I don't know those people. I don't trust them. No, you're not going. So I
Yeah,
want him to just stay home.
I'm
Don't
still,
go anywhere.
even with
that's a
a
very good
teenager
point.
and an almost teenager, I'm frightened to death to let them
Mhm.
just go for a walk for a couple blocks. Because, I mean, when I was growing up, the only rule was you stay in the development, don't cross 303, and you be home by the time the streetlights are on.
Right.
You know, but now like my daughter's like, I want to go meet my friend at the playground, which is like there's a elementary school on the other side of our development where we live, and there's a playground there that they meet at. I'm like, I don't know, but you know, we track them on the cell phone, so we're constantly watching
Right.
them. But yeah, it's
Even with
no
having
good.
all the new technology and being able to stalk your children 24/7, it's still scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Especially
it's
And I
especially
think-
when they don't talk. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I'm very, very, very open with my children. You know, I talk to them about, you know, safe adults and what people are allowed to do, what they're not, you know, all kinds of things. Oh, thanks, Goose.
Yep.
But I think that it was so much more worrisome when they couldn't talk, because then I don't know what happens, you know.
Mhm.
At least when they talk, they can tell you if something happens.
that's a big thing for me, and I think I've noticed it's a cultural thing for Hispanic, Black, and Pacific Island and Pan Asian communities, where you grew up, like you said, with your cousins and stuff, but it was more of a basically like a grooming ground
Yeah.
more than anything. And then
Mhm.
becoming an adult, you realize that everything in your family is not normal, not okay. Like, and then you have to go as an adult to these events with other family members, reunions, all these things. And then you know, as an adult, the difference between right and wrong, you know, things that happen that were not supposed to be happening. And then those family members will like try and like, oh, let me hold. I'm like, you're not holding my fucking kid. And you
Yeah.
can't just like freak out and break down in front of people.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest things with the parent guilt thing is I don't let my kid go with anyone except for
Mhm.
my mom and my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
He doesn't go anywhere else. He is never with
Mhm.
anyone else. And it's not that I'm like projecting my fears onto him. It's that I think it's being aware, and that's a good thing.
Mhm.
Like Judy said, it's being aware of who you're putting your child around, not feeling that you're keeping, you know what I'm saying? Because they try and make you feel like that. Like
Right.
you're keeping the child from them, but you're not a safe environment for them.
Right.
Why would I let my child go through the same things I did or be even like susceptible to it? You know, even just
Mhm.
it makes me mad because I'm like, I'm a grown ass woman. You can keep talking to me like I'm a kid, but he's my child,
Yeah.
not
Right.
yours. And that's a
Right.
big thing with the parent guilt is
Mhm.
in our culture, we're still supposed to be obedient children, even
Mhm.
at 30, 40 years old. And you got the wrong fucking one.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
I think
breaking
I
them
saw.
curses, baby.
I think I saw a post the other day on Facebook, and I think I shared it. But it was like, you know, people, other generations trying to give, or somebody trying to give you unsolicited parenting advice.
Mhm.
And I shared it, and it's really common. Well, then somebody I personally know like commented on it about how like awful the parents nowadays are and not raising their kids right. And I just like stopped. I was like, oh my God. Like I was just flabbergasted. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't believe that you're on my, like, I can't believe it.
You're on
Like,
my
what are you
post
doing?
about unsolicited parenting advice.
Yeah.
Giving unsolicited
Yeah.
parenting advice.
What is happening? And then it just reminds me of like how people are, and it just makes me more paranoid to let my kid go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get weird even not being like on the softball field when my daughter's like at softball practice. You know,
Yeah.
because there's like 2 or 3 adult males and I'm not there protecting her, and it just feels bad. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like that feeling, but
Yeah.
it's something I'm trying
Well,
to like be a little bit I don't know, more comfortable with. But
Yeah.
especially when they
My
load up
husband
in
feels
one
like
of
that
their
all the time.
vehicles and go get ice cream, or they go to some event with each other. I'm like, I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really don't like it at all.
Yeah.
Don't get comfortable with it. Keep being that dad, because that's what those parents are, the ones that keep really bad shit from happening to their children, because they're not just so. You will never know those people. And I've played sports. I've seen weird shit happen with coaches, and you do not know. And in schools, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
You don't know the people that they hire in schools. It's crazy. Did you know that they don't drug test in schools?
Nice.
None of your
Yeah.
students, children, none of their teachers, none of the administrators, none of them
When I was a
are drug
kid,
tested.
it was happening. When I was a kid, it was happening. Like the Sunday school teachers was let go and then ended up in jail because he was messing with the kids. Luckily, I didn't have him, but it's just that my father was abused as a child by his stepfather. So it's like it's been instilled in me since the beginning, knowing that my dad went through this. I'm not going to just let my daughters go with anybody.
Right.
It's just it's uncomfortable.
Well, I think like I loved my childhood. I had a great childhood, but like when you look back at it as an adult, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did some of that shit. Right. Like you said, we would just take our bikes down, to the next city over. Like we'd be gone. My friend fell through ice on Lake Erie one time. Our parents didn't know where we were,
Shit.
And yeah. I watched a TikTok that really hit me so hard that I literally cried for like 3 days about this shit. It wasn't necessarily the video, but it was the comments. Everybody was saying that we become the parents that we needed when we were children. And that really hit me, because everything that I went through, everything that I did, I became the person that I felt like I should have had when I was younger. And now, my husband like gives me such a hard time because I'm always like, oh, don't do that. Like, oh, why don't we, whatever. And he's like, just let them be kids. And I'm like, no, listen, I was just allowed to be a kid and that did not work out well.
That whole look at the whole, but you turned out fine thing always hits me, because it's like, that's a horrible fucking example. Like, just because I'm in one piece doesn't mean that I'm okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, and like, how many years of like dealing with my mental health and teaching myself to be fine, that it took. Like, I don't know. I think that sometimes I overcompensate, but whatever. That's a whole nother topic. I know. But so do you guys ever get a chance to go and do things and have time away from your kids?
I do. And then I spend that entire time doing something for my kid. My husband and I just the other day, we went out. We're like, we haven't had a date night in a while. Let's go out and just have like a date day. So my mother-in-law watched my son and we go out and I was like, okay, we have this amount of money. We can go out, do something fun, have dinner, whatever. Well, our first stop was to stop at Barnes & Noble, and my son is currently into Pokemon. We spent $300 on Pokemon cards for our entire family to learn how to play Pokemon together.
Nice.
And then I was like, all right, cheap dinner, McDonald's on the way home. We're done. Like, can't afford anything else.
Yeah. I mean, but you got a little time to yourself, I guess.
And Pokemon's awesome. So, I mean, let's not front on that one. You're on the come up, too.
Yeah. No. I feel like it always ends up like that when we try.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we love our children.
So, we have our ghost hunting adventures.
Yeah.
But I feel guilty the entire time I'm gone when I go do those things. Anytime I show up at the seminary, I feel like I'm gone too long. It's crazy.
Honestly, that's part of the reason why I started doing things for myself, was because I was like, okay, cool. Like I have this hobby where I can leave after the kids go to bed. So I'm not missing out on any like mommy and kid time because they go to bed at 9. I leave at 9:05. I'm at the seminary at 9:07, and then I'm not missing out on anything. So I don't feel so bad. But then once I started going and I started doing things and I was like, oh my God, like these people don't even know my children, which as a parent is like a weird thing, right? Like you're always like, oh, that's Everett's mom. Oh, that's Ryan's mom, whatever. So it was like such a big deal to me that I was like, oh my God, these people don't even know my kids. Like they don't even know me as a mom. And it was like such a different feeling, because Ryan will be 19 next month. Like I've always just been somebody's mom. And so it was so nice to, to
Just
go
thank
and to
you.
have friends who didn't know my kids. It's not like we met because our kids go to school together. Like they just genuinely liked me as a person. And it was the weirdest freaking thing ever. But I started to notice that, the more I went and did those things and the more I like felt like a human being and not just, Everett's snack wench, I I was in such a better mood, and I was so much happier and just like the things that we do at home were impacted so positively. And it was such a weird thing to me. Like, how does being away from your children make you a better mom? But it really did, because just my general mental health was so much better and I was so much happier. And you project your emotions onto everybody you're around. So, I mean, it started with a fight between my husband and I. He goes to the cabin and he'll be gone for a weekend or a week or whatever. And I was like, well, you get to go to the cabin. And what do? I just have to stay home all the time. He's like, who said you have to stay home all the time? I'm like, well, nobody. I don't know. So he's like, why don't you do things? And that's when I started, doing things. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I see why you do this. It really does. I mean, I definitely encourage people, find something that you like doing. I know it's hard to remember what you like doing because, what do you do in your free time? Oh, I go buy Pokemon cards and I watch you, like, that's not your free time. Like, find something that you like doing.
Most of the time I end up talking about Oliver or showing pictures of Oliver, or a lot of the people that I've met in the paranormal that finally come to visit the asylum or other events and stuff that I do, they're like, oh my gosh, you didn't bring him with you. I see him all the time. And I'm like, no, I didn't bring him with me, but nice to see you too, but like, look at this face and tell me you wouldn't want to just like look at it forever and ever and ever and ever. Like crazy. And we just got his autism thing back finally, like officially and whatnot. But we've been doing speech therapy and occupational therapy for at least a year now. And so just transitioning for that. So that adds to the guilt of being away. When every single time I'm away, I'm doing something for work or the asylum, which is work basically, but we're together 24/7, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then I'm gone like Saturdays and Sundays or like Friday nights doing ghost stuff. And the whole time I'm just like, oh, I'm such a shitty person because I should be with my son, even though I'm with him 24/7, 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's irrational.
It's 100% irrational, but it's 100% understandable.
And I asked you, does it ever stop the worrying while you're away?
No.
And that was the worst thing, because you're not the only one who said it. I asked a bunch of people that I knew that were parents, and especially including my mom and grandma, and they're like, no. I was like, so as a grown-ass woman, you still worry about me like that? Yep. And I was like, fuck this shit. How do y'all have more than one? Because my anxiety's bad.
Yeah.
Like really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ryan's 19. And if he comes upstairs to talk to me and I'm on a work call and, I don't get to talk to him, then I'll think about it for a week. Like, oh my God, what if he had to tell me something really important? And I mean, he's a grown ass man. He can just call me or text me or, stop up another time. Like, I'd still worry about it though.
I think that's another side of parent guilt that I think it took me at least the first couple of years to realize that it's not just about going out and not being able to get time away. Like everything I do as a parent, there's guilt attached to it. Like when we were trying to figure out the best way to like teach my son just to be a human, Like, we tried the little like hand slapping, and then he'd get mad and hand slap us. We're like, okay, well, nope, that's not a good thing. So we've never slapped his hand again. And we're trying this gentle parenting thing. And then I get so frustrated because I don't know how to gentle parent that I end up just like, sit down, asshole. That's not what you were supposed to do. This is how you do it. Why are you doing it? And I feel awful at the end. Like, he's 5. I probably shouldn't have told him he was acting like an ass, but I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But he was acting like an ass.
Right.
That's the thing though with kids is like they react better to that though. You being open and honest with the reactions and feelings rather than just punishing them for them not know why. You know what I'm saying? It was always just sit down, shut up, do this, do that. Telling them why. Because that's the one thing that you, as a teacher, if I could never hear the phrase why ever again.
Yeah.
I usually love inquisitive minds, but why is my pee yellow? Why does it stink? Like, why is a dangerous term in that phrase? And I'm kind of glad Oliver at this point, I'm not glad that he's nonverbal, but we haven't gone through that because he still hasn't talked aside from mama. So I don't have to go through that. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a crazy phase.
Yeah. It's, that was one of
That's
the
the
things
asshole phase.
Yeah. I couldn't stand when I was younger. I couldn't stand the because I said so. And so again, being the parent that you needed, I always explain things to my kids to the point where sometimes I'm like, why am I even explaining myself to you? But then that also has backfired because, I'll tell my kids, don't do that. And they'll be like, why? And I'll be like, well, because you can fall and see that corner right there. You're going to crack your head on it. Great. Now I've just raised like 3 little balls of anxiety because they're always like noticing things that they can get hurt on because that's what their mom taught them their whole life. So then I
gotta admit, I'm the same way. Like we went to the Outer Banks and we were on a fishing pier, and my daughters were both super little at the time, and they're like leaning over the edge, like hanging, like looking, and I'm like, no, get back. I was like, just calm down.
Yeah,
calm down.
Yeah.
They're gonna fall in the ocean. I don't know how to swim well.
Right.
I mean, what happens if the
like you're like,
but, I mean, they're I can't say that they're work. Go ahead.
You're like, I got 2 daughters and only 2 hands. I can't swim with no hands.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? Like all this shit's going through your head, and meanwhile they're literally just having a good time, just being kids.
Yeah.
But it's not okay.
And immediately I always felt bad about it. Like I just need to chill out because they're kids and they weren't really gonna fall, and I knew that, but they haven't like turned out bad. They're both teenagers and they both do a hell of a lot more at like theme parks than I do. Like they'll go on rides. I won't do that.
Have they watched Final Destination yet though?
Oh, my 15-year-old loves Criminal Minds.
I used to love rides until I saw Final Destination 3.
They're just like me and my wife. They love horror movies. My oldest daughter loves Criminal Minds. It's like her favorite show. So it's
Nice.
I think that kind of instills the fear in her. I mean, she's like, this is pretty realistic. I mean, some of it she knows true crime, some of it, and she's like, this is based off of this story, and this is. I'm like, how do you know about this stuff? She's like, so this could really happen, and so she's like all super. And she came home. They had a cyberbullying, like a computer thing, a big assembly at school about the horrors of what could happen to you on the internet. So like it just like besides viruses and everything, they're talking about cyber predators and cyberbullying and all that kind of stuff. She came and gave us a list of all these apps that we shouldn't be using because people are watching us, and
nice.
It's like they're getting the information out there, but my fears, like I project those on them when they were little, and I do feel bad about that.
Yep.
But
luckily, I think as
like their mom, they're more adventurous.
What you call it, instilled in us, ingrained in us to watch those shows so we know what to look for. At least that's me. Because my husband's like, how do you fall asleep to this shit? I'm like, because I'm learning, bitch.
Yeah.
You ain't never gonna catch me slipping.
It's like a documentary
one time.
Or a how-to video.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I fall asleep.
Yeah,
to
when I go to
Forensic
bed, my
Files.
wife is like YouTube and watching all her live stream podcasts, like on true crime shows. I'm like,
Yeah,
It
how do you
keeps
not
us
have
alert.
nightmares every night?
that's how we learn
Yeah.
the warning signs, man.
Oh my
Like, don't let the
God.
girls go near a UPS guy. I'm like, what? What just happened?
It's
Just happened
true
in Michigan.
story, dude.
It's true.
Yeah.
True
And
story.
that's another thing. You see all this shit on the news, and then you like
Yeah.
it just makes it so much worse.
You literally can't trust nobody. And if
No.
you do, you're a damn fool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
thank God for Ring doorbells nowadays. I used to think that was sketchy. Well, I think still think it's sketchy that they're spying on all of us, but whatever. They're
Yeah.
really doing it with our phones and all that shit. Let's not pretend like we
Right.
need microchips to be spied on.
Yeah.
But
I think like our parents' generation, like unless you read the newspaper, you didn't
Mhm.
see all this stuff. You weren't
Right.
exposed to
I think it was
the
not
horrors of what were
necessarily
happening to our children.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But now
it
with
wasn't
social media, you see it
Yep.
every day.
it
There's
wasn't just
podcasts about
not
it.
as
I mean,
bad or not as frequent. It just wasn't as televised or
Right.
easily accessible
Right.
to the media. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
It's
You're
exactly.
constantly
It wasn't that
bombarded
much
with
safer. There were still fucking
No.
serial killers were
Yeah.
heavy in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
You know how many? Nah. Y'all got me fucked up. They're like, back in my day, and I'm like, back in your day, just as many people were dying. It just wasn't on TikTok every
Yeah.
fucking other hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were
Some of
reading
them
the
haven't
newspaper,
been
watching,
caught yet.
Yeah. if you were reading the newspaper or watching the news, it was just local news. So if something
Mhm.
happened in Michigan, you're not going to hear about it. But
Mhm.
now with TikTok and all the social media and stuff, like you're going to know about it within an hour.
Ohio's crazy, by the way. Do you live there too,
Yeah.
Judy?
I am in Ohio, and I never realized what was it. I think TikTok was talking about like crazy things that happen in the Midwest. I'm like, well, thankfully I'm not there. I'm on the eastern side, and somebody pointed out like Ohio's considered Midwest,
Yeah.
and I like lost it. I was like, ah, crap.
Mhm.
I didn't know how
Yeah.
much weird shit happened up there, like that whole tiger thingy where that guy or the guy let his entire like menagerie loose,
Yeah.
and they had to
Uh-huh.
kill and tranquilize over like 60 tigers, lions, and bears. Oh my,
Yeah.
Yeah.
crazy shits. Y'all just as wild.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's yeah. There's a lot of-
Another thing with parent guilt, especially with COVID that's happened like recently. I mean, my son's 5, so the majority of his life, COVID's been going on. We haven't been able to go anywhere, and then I'm already paranoid
Yeah.
as it is. I keep him close to me. Is he seems to be overly sensitive about anything and everything.
Mhm.
Like he's
Yeah.
cautious himself. He's sensitive about anything. Like even when he's just now like starting to interact with other children, he doesn't know how to
Yeah.
because he's an only kid and he's home with me, and like other kids will do something to him and he just like lets it happen or does or like comes and tells me, and I'm like, it's a little
Mhm.
late now. Did you talk to the kid who was being mean to you? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's just so quiet and sensitive, and a part of
Yeah.
me feels guilty for feeling like I made him that sensitive and quiet because I'm so overprotective.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think the sensitivity, that's just probably his personality. And if he's not been around a lot of kids, then it's just something he's going to have to grow into. You know, he's going to learn how to do that. I mean, he might just be sensitive. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
The COVID thing, so it hit December 31st, 2019. My son was born December 13th, 2019. I still have not gotten a social security card yet because COVID fucked like that whole thing up. And I feel like such a shitty fucking parent because aside from when we go to the park alone when no one else is there, and I wipe that, you best believe I have my fucking cleaning wipes and I'm wiping every single surface down because I work with kids. I know how dirty they are. They're little petri dishes. You don't know how COVID's going to affect someone that young. Then COVID, RSV, flu, and hand, foot, mouth were like all at an all-time high in varying strains and stuff.
Mhm.
Literally in the past 3 years, we've been under attack of like a biological warfare, basically on our children, especially and our elderly. And you can't help but feel bad, especially when we have little ones as young as we do, Judy. And like, he hates people with masks. it triggered, like, he actually has anxiety being around people who wear masks because he's only ever been to his doctors and family outings. He doesn't go anywhere else. And that's another thing. Like, you could read all the parenting books you want, but no one was like, hey, here's how to raise an entire fucking human in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Wait, what? So you're a shitty parent if they get sick. You're a shitty parent if you keep them inside and keep them safe. You literally cannot fucking win. So I think the fact that he's sensitive is saying a billion times more for you as a parent that you're doing a good thing.
Right.
Because I can attest most kids his age have absolutely no empathy, sympathy, or any type of emotion towards other people nowadays. So you're doing a great job. I love hearing that he's that sensitive because it's definitely lacking.
Thanks. I guess sensitive was, but I feel like this like overwhelming pressure that like he can't play with other children his age because he doesn't understand how to, he doesn't want to. Like even when we do go to the park, and there's somebody that like maybe a friend of mine that I know, and I'm like, well, let's go play. He's like terrified. Like the minute another kid comes to the playground, he wants to leave. Let's go home. Like he's over it. And then I got him in baseball, t-ball this past summer, and he was like the only child listening and doing everything and just not interacting with anybody else. And a part of me was kind of like, you're 5. It's your first year of t-ball. You don't have to follow go play with the kids. Go roll in the dirt. That kid's jumping and having fun. Meanwhile, my son's just standing there like the coach told him this is your spot. He literally did not move his feet. Wouldn't run 2 feet the other way. And I just felt like part of it was responsible because I feel like I've sheltered him so much.
Well, I actually talked to my kid's teacher when they went back after COVID, and I was crying, and I said, I just feel so bad. They're so far behind. Like they're, I realized it when we finally went to the dollar store. It was like their first outing after lockdown. And I realized that they're standing there in the aisle, like screaming to each other. Like they have no idea of like inside voices, they're like totally forgot how to be socialized human beings. And I'm like talking to their teacher and I'm like, they're so far behind. They're so out of it. They're, whatever. But she just looked at me and she said, they all are. All of the kids have been through the same thing.
I call it going feral. They all reverted back to their natural states. And they've all gone feral.
And honestly, like the fact that he's not playing with other kids, it might just be because he doesn't have siblings or whatever. Like, other kids have somebody to fight with and somebody to roll around in the dirt with, but that doesn't mean that they have things better. You know what I mean? It's just different. Your son has things that other kids wish that they had, like the undivided attention. I'm sure all kids who have siblings wish they had that. It's just different. It's not better or worse. Don't feel bad that your kid is the only one who listens and follows directions. That's good. That's a good thing.
It is, but a part of me is just like, I don't know. It sounds like I don't know. It sounds toxic because that's what we were always told, like, be a kid. But at the same time, like, I want him to be able to have fun. He looks like he's not having fun when he's just standing there.
But maybe he does. Maybe he likes that. Some kids like thrive on doing things. You know what I mean? Some kids love being told, like, this is your job. And they're like, okay, yes, I have a job. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do it so good. You know what I mean? Some kids love that. Some kids have zero interest in playing in dirt. It's not... I mean, maybe that's just who he is as a person. It's not terrible.
The social interaction, though, the lack of social interaction, it is a huge issue, though, because Oliver's the same way. He acts either like a dog or like an adult, because that's all he's ever been around.
Yeah.
He doesn't ever act like a kid, and it breaks your heart, especially when they're that little, and you see everyone else. You know what the quote-unquote norm is for that, but especially because he's autistic now, that just adds like a whole different layer to it for us. But that norm that's supposed to be at that age, and it does, and you feel even more shitty because you feel shitty about feeling shitty. I know y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You can follow the logic.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like being a parent is great, but goddamn,
right? It's the
Yeah.
best and worst thing ever. But I did. I mean,
No, I
I saw
guess-
that. I saw that thing that said that, you know, shitty parents don't ever question themselves. They don't ever worry if they're a shitty parent. You know why? Because they don't
Mhm.
care. It's the ones who do care and want everything, you know, everything for their kids. They want nothing but the best. They want the best childhood. They want to be the best parent. Those are the ones who feel shitty all the time because they're constantly like worried about being good. Shitty parents don't worry if they're good, right? So the more you stress about it, the more you're a good parent. That's how I
Definitely.
keep my brain.
What was there? There was one thing. I keep everything is just memes. Everything is Facebook memes. Everything is
Right.
just sharing. Does anybody even post their own statuses anymore? You just reshare.
Yeah.
Where like one side was like the mom, like, oh, I shouldn't have yelled. I shouldn't have done this. We should have gone, you know, here. I couldn't afford it. We went to a park and only had a picnic. I wish I could take
Yeah.
them out. Meanwhile, like the other side, the kid's like, Mommy took me to the park. It's the best day of my life.
Right.
But it's like
Yeah.
it just hits. But at the same time, no matter what, you always feel guilty about it.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I spent years, I mean, really until I started this job, I spent years being home with my kids all the time. And then I felt guilty for not like contributing. I know it sounds terrible. And I feel like stay-at-home parents are the only ones that understand. Being at home and being in charge of raising children, and you are literally providing life to these people, and you are keeping them alive, and you are nourishing them, and you are, you know, creating who they're going to be as adults. And meanwhile, you're like, I am so worthless, right? Like that makes no sense. You are shaping a human being, but it
Yeah.
feels like you're worthless. And then so I get a job and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing great at my job. I love this. And then I'm like, oh my God, I feel terrible for not being home. Why? Why? We can't do anything without the guilt. And it doesn't help that like
I know.
every single Facebook post where some kid does something wrong, everybody, first question, where's the parents? Probably doing their fucking best. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
like my 18-year-old even told me that. He said, why are people, one of his friends did something stupid and it was posted on the local Facebook page. And I was like, oh, look at so-and-so. And he's like, why is everybody blaming the parents? I was like, because that's what they do. They blame the parents.
Well, if that was my kid, I would have.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up, man.
Yeah.
That was your kid, and you did, and they're worse.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, do people honestly think that parents are out there going, you know what you should do, kid, is break a car window and steal the radio? Nobody's teaching their kids that. People are teaching their kids right from wrong. Their kids are choosing to make bad decisions.
Right. And it's not
You
always,
did the
it's not
same.
just the kids sometimes. Sometimes it's peer pressure or something they saw on,
Right.
you know,
But it's
I
not
did a
the
lot of
parents.
bad things because my buddies were doing them in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I just did it for
stealing shit
fun.
from people's houses and putting it in front of other people's houses. You know what I mean? It's
Dumb
just like
shit.
just stupid shit. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So it's,
But the only
that
difference
pisses
is
me
we
off,
didn't
like-
have Ring cameras and social media, and everybody
Right.
didn't have a
Yeah.
camera in their pocket.
No.
So
That's for
these
sure.
people didn't get caught. And now they're sitting there going, where are these parents? Where were your
Yeah.
fucking parents? You know what I mean? Like, it's different times. Different times.
My parents sure took the care of the problems that I caused at the end. So that was definitely something I never did again.
Yeah.
You know, so I learned my lesson. It was my parents who taught me that
Right.
lesson.
And,
You know?
and that's what these
But
kids are doing.
yeah,
They're
I just
learning
wanted
lessons.
I wanted to touch on a point you were talking about guilt because of like being at work.
Mhm.
That was one of my biggest struggle for like 4 years. I feel like I missed like 4 to 5 years of my kids' childhood because I worked third shift.
Mhm.
Like I literally only saw them for like a half an hour, 45 minutes in the morning. And I was tired as hell and I was not very nice person. And I felt guilty about that going to bed every day.
Mhm.
And, you know, when I saw them at night is I got up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and they were there doing their stuff and I had to go to work. It was
Mhm.
horrible. And I felt like I just missed so much. And it was hard for me to parent too,
Mhm.
because their mom was the one they went to. So I felt horrible. Like, I mean, trying to tell them stuff, I felt like they just weren't listening to me because I wasn't around.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was horrible. But I got out of that situation and it wasn't that. It was, they just don't listen to their dad. Just kidding.
I wanted to
no,
ask,
they do.
like,
They're both awesome kids.
the difference between you have all boys, you have all girls, and it's like, I know that there is a huge difference between raising the two,
Mhm.
but you feel like if you put them into a battle royale with each other, who would win?
The girls.
Her
The girl.
brooder.
Girls
Her
are.
brood.
I have a son, but girls are vicious
Yes.
and
Oh
mean.
yeah.
They are crazy. I always told myself like I'm happy I have a boy because I don't know if I could handle a girl because I
Yeah.
remember how I was growing
When
up.
I like you, Judy.
I was scared to death. Yeah, I was scared to death when we
Same.
found out that Piper was a girl.
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, the only girl that I've ever really known besides like my friends at school is my mom. I don't
Right.
know how to interact like on a daily like living with basis. How am I going to raise two of these things?
Yeah.
And after they started growing up and like my friends started having kids, you know, like my one friend, he had a boy, and when we get together, I'm like, oh my god, thank God I have girls. Because the boys, you know, are like running around crazy, throwing shit everywhere, screaming and hollering.
Yeah.
And my girls are just sitting there like, what the fuck?
Right.
They're sitting there playing with toys quietly with each other. Now,
Yeah.
if they got in a fight, one of those toys would be going up against the other girl's head.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They get, because that's the difference. The girls, y'all get into mental battles and
Yep.
battles of
Which
words,
is way
and like
worse.
you cut
Yeah.
deep.
Yep.
And
I could
that
handle the
shit
boys
lasts for a
fist
while.
fight and it's done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
I was gonna say
y'all
that
hold a
girls
grudge
last
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girls hold a grudge, so they'll be mad at each other for days,
Mhm.
weeks, months.
Yeah.
Boys get into a fight, they might slap each other,
Done.
and then, you know, 2 minutes later, they're like, hey, what's up, bro? You
Yeah.
know, it's just like,
You want to go play
but
Xbox? Sure.
growing up, like as littles, I was so happy to have girls.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of back to like, what do I do with these girls?
They're hitting that dangerous
teenagers,
age.
Yeah.
they're teenagers, they're in like that whole different level of girldom.
Mhm.
You know, it's like the emotions are way all over the place, and you know,
Yeah.
it's tough, but I'm getting through it. My wife's like, just chill out, be cool. You know,
Yeah.
if it's a woman thing, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, if they're getting shit on by a boy, you better damn know I'm gonna be dealing with it.
Yeah.
And be dealing with him. You know, we're gonna go. I don't know. Luckily my oldest is not really. She's just into like hanging out. She's not into dating. She doesn't care about any of the drama stuff. She has her group of friends. She goes to school. She does really good in school.
That's good.
You know, going back to the pandemic thing though, like after that, like that's kind of like she missed that socialization time where she went from elementary school into junior high stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that was like a horrible. She had no idea what she had. Such horrible anxiety
Mhm.
going in, and like she had to go. I mean, she had to see a therapist for a little bit, just kind of like figure out how she needs to handle herself. And you know, everybody's grown up now. She didn't know like how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of things like socializing, being around, you know, and being around more kids because, you know, all the elementary schools come together. So there's just like
Mhm.
a ton of kids now where she was used to the smaller group. But yeah, something clicked in her this year. Like over the summer, she went to band camp and she was so horribly like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She wouldn't like ask anybody to room with her. She was like torn apart. Like she didn't know. But she came back a completely different girl.
Yeah.
She's got friends, like all these like seniors and juniors took her under her wing. So she's got like friends in all the grades. And, you know, it's just, they were calling her their baby saxophone player. You're a baby sax girl. You know, so she had people taking care of her. So it was just like, it was a rough patch, like getting back into that socialization after being at home in front of a computer for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hard.
I think people underestimate how hard that
And I
was
felt
on
like
kids.
I didn't know how to help her because I would deal with, yeah, you know, because I'm always dealing with my own mental health issues. I mean, I'm a mess. I mean, honestly. So it's like, I don't know how to help you if I'm trying to figure out myself.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I'm just here. You guys need a hug. If you need to smack a boy, I'll do it. Whatever you need. Just, you know, daddy's not good at telling you how to deal with your own emotions yet. He's still figuring it out himself. But
I mean, do you
That's
tell
good that
them
you're
that? Are you-
honest with them, though.
yeah. Are
Yeah,
you?
you're telling them that.
Yeah.
That's
I tell them
good.
all the time. I'm like, listen, they're always asking me, "Are you okay?" Because they could tell, like, I'm in my own world. I'm like staring at the ceiling, like just not into it. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, Daddy's not. Daddy's not like he's in his own little. I'm in a funk. I don't. Are you okay? And they like give me a hug. I'm like, sorry, Dad. I'm like, it's not your fault, honey. It's not. It just is what it is. I mean, and I'm going back to therapy myself, and I want them to know that it's okay to not be okay. That's like
Right.
the big thing that
Yeah.
I've been trying. Like that's one thing I've learned dealing with my own shit is like it's okay to not be okay.
Mhm.
And it's just, and I see a lot of myself in my oldest daughter. Like I talked about the anxiety, but she still deals with she gets closed up, and she has her days where she's like, you know, better. Just like there's no joking going around,
Yeah.
nothing like that. She's like straight up, but they
Can
know
I
they can
just
come
give
to me
you
if they have like an issue.
can I just give you some kudos for being, I mean, I don't know, it's probably going to sound wrong, so I'm sorry guys, but like being a man, a dad who like is talking about it. Like I can't
Yeah.
get my husband to open up about anything. Like
Same.
I was scrolling through like his liked TikToks the one day because he showed me a funny
Mm,
one. I was like, what else he got in there? Let's see. I want to laugh.
yeah,
We're in the car board and I went across like one of those heart wrenching ones of like dad guilt. And the minute he heard it, he like swiped it away.
yeah,
And I was like, I want to understand how you feel.
yeah,
He's like, nope, I'm
No.
deleting it. And
No.
then he got rid of it. It was gone. I was like,
right,
I just want to know how you
yeah,
feel. Like I talk all the time. I don't stop. Like you know how
Right.
I'm feeling. Like you don't tell me
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
That
well,
my
I learned
husband's the
that
same way.
like to be the opposite of my dad in that respect, because my dad went through a lot as a kid. He was physically and sexually abused as a child by his stepfather, and he was trying so hard to just, like be okay with life that he kind of shut himself off from like deep emotions until we were a little
Mhm.
bit older, and he was able to tell us what happened, and we were able to understand what happened to him. But I've always been like straight up, like I'm not afraid to cry. I'm watching a movie, and if it's sad, I'm crying. I don't care. I want them to be able to feel the way they feel and not be, you know, feeling bad about it, like worried about what
Right.
other people are thinking, because that's no way to live life. But
Right.
and I've lost my cool with them because I was dealing with my own shit, and I'm like, I just will snap and say shut up, and then I'm like, oh my god, what did I just do? I just told my kid to shut up, like, and I
Yeah.
was being like for real, like not my normal shut up, like I love you, shut up. It's like,
Right.
you know, I just blew up because I was in my own head about something completely unrelated, and it was like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and I'm like hugging them and kissing them, like I'm so sorry, But,
I mean, that is super important. I will straight up, I could tell I know when I'm going to snap, and I will just tell my kids like, listen, I love you very
mhm,
much. I'm struggling right now. I have a million things going on in my brain, and loud noises really drive me crazy today. And I said, today is not a day for loud
yeah,
noises. And, luckily they're older now, so they kind of understand.
mhm,
And I'll just be like, can we not do that today? I said, because that's going to be the quickest way to get in trouble. I said, if you're doing something bad, but you're doing it quietly, you're less likely to get in trouble than you are just for yelling. So let's
right,
be
yeah,
quiet today.
yeah.
Um,
I love that. I've taught
Yeah,
my
my
son
youngest is a
recently.
fidget, and she's. Go ahead. No,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Judy.
Julie. Sorry.
Sorry, I've recently taught my son that like when I'm getting overwhelmed and I just need to like walk away or I need to smoke or I just need to go
Yeah.
away, and he's constantly like up my butt and I'm like, okay, you need to go. I don't want you around me when I'm smoking. Mommy just needs a minute.
Yeah.
And when he starts getting overwhelmed and I don't know how to deal with his crying, but I don't want to tell him like stop crying, I'm just like, do you need a
Right.
minute?
Yeah.
Would you like to take your minute in your room or your playroom? Because right now, mommy also needs a minute. So we
Right.
need to pick different areas. So now he's doing
Yeah.
really good with like, mommy, do you need a minute? Or like when he's mad at me and I'm like, Lucas, like, let's talk about it. And he's like, no, mommy, I just need a minute. And he storms
Oh,
off. I'm like, that's fine. Just go
that's
to your
so
minute.
cute. That's good. He's processing his thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, my youngest daughter, because like when I'm in my funk, my youngest daughter, she like she's a fidget, but she'll like be like, even if she's like actually focusing on something, she's constantly sing-songing and like talking to herself and just like all the time. You know, and
Thanks.
it's like there's like when I'm in that funk, I'm like, just stop. Like I'm not the kind of person that likes the ASMR. I need like quiet. Or if I'm trying to watch a show and she's like talking like to her mom or something, like shut up.
And then I feel bad about it.
So like, yes, yeah. I'm like, she's a kid.
Right.
She was asking me a bunch of questions about what was going on in the film, but I'm like, I don't know because I'm trying to watch it. It's just like she's trying to share something with me that she doesn't. She's asking me because she's like wanting to know why I'm watching it and like why I'm about it. So it's again, and then I feel like a ton of shit because I was getting mad at her.
Right. Or like I'm trying to work or something and they want to tell me a 2-hour story about Minecraft. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to listen to that right now. And then I feel bad because I'm like, you know, they always say that like what they talk about, it is the most important thing to them. Okay. They don't have jobs. They don't have like things, you know, whatever big things in their life. When so-and-so blew up their base on Minecraft, that was the biggest thing that happened to them. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't need to hear about this stuff. You know what I mean? But it was a big deal to them. So then I'm like, oh my God, there was a traumatizing event to him and I just blew him off and I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I try to listen, but you know, I work from home. And so it's hard because they just like see me, especially because 90% of my work I can do on my phone. So they just see me on my phone.
You should give them a journal to write down all of the things when you're busy, because they'll treat that like it's like their own comic book. Like tell them to make it like their own storybook.
That's a really good idea.
You can still catch up on it, and even if you don't really read it, you know what I'm saying? It's still there because you acted like. Don't worry, I'm not going to miss your stories.
I'd be like, can you guys like give me the Cliff's notes on this story?
Yeah.
Well, luckily, my kids don't like writing, so it probably would be the Cliff's Notes. It would be real short versions.
Little comic book strips. That's all you need. Just a little stick figures.
That's really good idea.
Damn.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I could definitely read it at nighttime, like after they go to bed, because that's like my quiet time. That's my me time. So I usually end up staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning and regretting it the next day because
that's the only time you have to yourself to not be tending to anyone else or answering. I get it.
And like I could sit here on TikTok and nobody's asking me a question. I don't have to get a drink from anybody. Nobody's hungry. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't eat until after all of
it's like on the weekends too, because I have almost teenage girls. They don't come out from their room until like 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I get up like my normal time, which is like 8 o'clock, I have all that time just to like sit and like reflect, watch whatever the hell I want on TV.
Yeah.
Play my games on my phone, whatever, drink all my coffee. I mean, so that is something that's got a lot easier as they've gotten older. Now it's a point where you guys please come out of your room and like say hello. Like, I'm here.
I know we also talked a lot about, and Denise, you made a comment, we talked a lot about like working out of the house or being a stay-at-home mom. But then like I also like I work on my computer at home. Like I take phone calls at home. So my son all summer long sees me at home, mommy. Well, I'm sorry, I'm working. I don't have my break yet. Like, I got you what you needed. I can hear you if there's an emergency, but I can't just get up every 10 minutes to get you a snack. Like, lunchtime is my lunchtime, 12 o'clock. Like, chill out. And that's also just as hard. Like, I was like, well, maybe working from home, I still work. I get to contribute, but then, like, I'm home, so I don't miss things. And it's got its whole other level of battles as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy way to do it. I don't think there's, you know, I've done pretty much all of them. And they're all equally as hard. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. Like, oh, I'd love to be able to just go to work and get a break from my kids, or oh, I'd love to be able to stay home all day and be with my kids all the time. No, it's all hard.
No, because you go to work, you leave, then you get screwed, and you have to work the weekend, and you don't get to see them at all. You know, working, like I said, third shift for like 3 or 4 years. I mean,
or your weekends are for like laundry and cleaning and running errands and doing stuff, so you still don't get to spend time with them anyways.
And being a stay-at-home parent is basically being a servant and EMT all in one.
Yeah.
Now you gotta make sure they stay alive, and you gotta make sure that they're fed. You also have to make sure
when they get older too, you gotta add taxi driver to that.
Yeah.
When they get
It's
older,
such
they're
a
in high school and
weird.
they got all their activities.
I tried to explain it to somebody because they were newly stay-at-home parent, and they were like, I just feel so many emotions. And I was like, listen, being a stay-at-home mom, you never feel as lonely. I never felt as lonely as I was when I was a stay-at-home mom, but also I constantly have someone touching me or talking to me or close to me. You have the most important job in the world, but you feel super useless. You know what I mean? Like you clean all day, but your house is never clean. Like everything is like, both polar opposites.
It's nothing
You're
but
feeling-
contradictions.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's all it is. It's just one polar extreme and the other, and you feel both of them every single day.
Definitely. And I hate drama things, but like right now, like staying home more often, I feel like I'm enjoying other like drama. Like I want to hear it. Tell me the tea. Because I've got nothing else going on. It's either that or I have to learn about the guy who killed my son on Roblox during the game and he got
Right.
mad and threw his phone that I spent
Yes.
too much money on for a 5-year-old at the wall. Like
Yeah.
tell me the drama. Tell me the
Yeah.
adult drama, please.
So
Yeah.
COVID made me watch Degrassi again and Jersey Shore because of that same exact thing. I was like, I don't want to interact with real
Oh my
humans,
Right.
but I need me some of the sizzle because I'm so
Yeah.
boring over here. So I sure did fucking rewatch Degrassi and Jersey Shore. I stopped at Reunion though because fuck Angelina. I hate that they brought her back. Suck it.
And I know we
Yeah,
talked a lot about going out. Going out is great, but also can we talk about like how like the one time we might get to go to the grocery store, which is something that we have to do, and they like our significant other or somebody else or like in-laws like, well, you just went out yesterday. I watched the kids for you yesterday.
Right.
Thank you. I watched the kids, so I didn't buy everything in the store with them throwing things in it. Like I got what I needed and I didn't go broke yesterday. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't my time. I just got 10 minutes of silence in the car ride to the store. Like
Right. Yeah.
And not even because you were worrying the whole time about how quickly you need to get back.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm one of those people where if I ask somebody to watch the kids once and they say no, I will take it to
Never
heart
ask
and I will
them
feel
again.
like I am a burden to them and I never ever want to ask them again because obviously that's too much for them or whatever. Like my brain just like is like, oh nope, that person's off limits for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
Do you ever react the same way if someone says sure or is like, I guess, or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's not like a sure,
like,
yes,
oh,
I
you know
don't
what?
feel that you're like excited about
Yeah.
this. We ain't
Yeah.
doing this again, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Because I have such a hard time asking for help. I will help people all day, every day. Whatever you need, just let me know. I will help you. But I'm one of those people who will be like, hey, if it's okay with you, not a big deal. You can say no. And I'll like, for 10 minutes before I even ask the question.
Sorry, I even asked you. I didn't know what I was thinking.
Yeah. And then if they're like, even if they're like, I can't, I have prior arrangements. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll never ask you again. Literally. Never. We'll never ask you again.
Yeah. Is that why we get along so well? Because
Yeah.
we're like that fucked up.
Yeah.
So I start apologizing. I'm like, sorry, I even asked. Wait, no,
Right,
it's okay.
yeah.
Don't worry, I got this.
Yeah.
I have 3 other things that I'm supposed to be doing at the same exact time, but don't worry, I'm going to figure out a way
It's
to do
fine.
it without
I was
you.
probably going to cancel anyway, so don't even worry about it. Forget I asked.
No, I'm just not doing anything. We're all just going to stay
Yeah.
right here today. So it's all
Yeah.
good. I've taken care of it.
And then I'll end it with, but let me know if you need anything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fucking shit.
Dragging your kids out to go make sure you're helping them when they didn't ask for it, but feeling like you can't ask them for the help too also kind of hurts.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not intentionally expecting you because like I don't want to be a burden, but also like, don't you see I'm drowning? Like help.
Right. Right. And
Thank
there
you.
was, I'm going to get super personal and I might piss some people off if they're watching, but there was a point where it was a few years ago, I was really struggling. Like I hated my life. My husband asked me how I was doing. One day, he calls me every day on his way home from work and he asked me how I was doing. And I said, well, if I was the suicide type, today might've been the day. I was struggling so hard. And it took everything I had. I think I typed out the message 52 times before I actually sent it. And I sent it to a bunch of people. And I said, look, I'm struggling. I can't do this by myself. I need help. Even if you just take the kids for an hour so I can come home and take a shower, whatever. My kids were not even like little. I it took everything I had to ask for people to help me. And I explained to them how bad I was struggling, how hard it was for me. I said, anything that you can do would help me so much. Not one person helped me.
Yeah.
Not one person took the kids. That's fine. We'll figure it out on our own. We always figure things out. We'll do it on our own, just like we always have. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's it. I mean, and it's a personal flaw of mine. I know that. I know that people don't hate me. I especially know people don't hate my children, but that's it. My brain says one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, basically, if we were to go out, no, go ahead, finish your thought.
I just think it's so different. You know, everybody says, well, you have all these people around you. You're not doing it alone. I don't know why you're struggling. I don't know why you're stressed. You have all these people around you. Okay, well, I'm the type of person that unless somebody reaches out and says, hey, would you mind if I took the kids this weekend? I'm never going to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not your burden to bear.
Yeah. If you have
cannot
parents,
pop them out, you shouldn't be watching them.
yes. If you have parents in your life who maybe you notice that they're struggling, maybe just offer to take their kids for a little bit. And don't say, hey, I noticed you're struggling. Just say, hey, I'm going to make your own pizza on Friday. Would you mind if your kids came, would you mind if I took the kids for a little bit? Or, oh, I want to go see this movie, but I don't want to go alone. Is it cool if I take your kids? Just take people's freaking kids, man.
Make it an excuse to go see a Disney movie. Like, hey, reach out to your friend. I want to go see Disney, but I know there's be a bunch of kids. I don't want to look weird. Can I have yours for the day? Take them.
Exactly.
There I am, like, you ain't taking my kid anywhere.
Yeah.
You come near my kid.
I'm that one.
It is that hard line of like the people you trust, and then having that same feeling, Denise, where it's like you don't reach out to those people, or those people don't reach out to you, and then your circle just gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, now I only trust this many people and this many people because you didn't want to help before. Now I don't want to be a burden. It's so much.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I feel like it shouldn't be a burden. Because those are your whatever. Like, my kids are whatever to you, your nephews or your whatever, you know what I mean? Like, or your best friend's kid. Yeah, they have a relation to my children. So I don't know. I just thought that it wasn't a burden, but I don't know. That's the way my brain works, that I'm a burden to people.
I think with Oliver right now, especially because he gets so frustrated with the communicating thing, I don't feel like making everyone else work while they're spending time with him, if that makes sense. Like, I know he needs to learn how to communicate with other people in the way that he's being taught right now, especially because he's 3 years old and still won't say anything else but mama. He uses his signs and has his own like kind of like secret language almost.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like they work so much during the week that, you know what I'm saying, they also have their own shit that come that one day that I need them during the weekend. It shouldn't be on them to also have to work on that one day off that they might have.
Right.
And that part fucking sucks.
But also, he's adorable and people probably love spending time with him. It's not work.
Oh, it's work now. He gets it's gotten pretty, I don't want to say bad, but he's definitely more just like his anxiety about it is horrible. Because of speech and occupational therapy, just making him work for stuff or like making him sign before you give him anything, like he knows that you're about to sit there and start making him do something he doesn't want to do. So the tantrums are like a billion times worse right now.
Yeah.
And then once you stop, he's an evil fucking genius. That's the most stressful part, is being bested by a goddamn 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know he's just playing me right now. I know it. And it's so frustrating. But I also don't want him to be like that frustration to kind of be forged in the relationships he has with his grandparents or the other family members. You know what I'm saying? Because he'll be frustrated to see them instead of being happy to see them.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to have a good cognitive recognition when they see each other, rather than being like, okay, I'm going here, it's going to be more work. instead
Yeah.
of this is just my safe space, basically, my
Mhm.
downtime, because he's in therapy Monday through Friday. You know what I'm saying? So his weekends have to be just kind of a safe space without the continuity of his lessons and everything. It's like
Yeah.
having to retrain him back every weekend or week.
Yeah.
And tear my studio apart.
You get there.
So frustrated.
Yeah. What else? It's 9:07, but I just want to make sure we got. What else do you guys need to cover? Anything?
Well, I know like something that I feel like, especially recently, as my kids have grown, seeing them kind of fall into the same bad health habits that I've had and struggles with like food
Mhm.
and activity, stuff like that. Which is kind of really part of my therapy has been to like get myself in order so I can be more of a role model than just saying you stop doing this, you need to do
Mhm.
this. They're not going to listen to me because they're looking at me and I'm not doing any of that. But now I
Mhm.
am. I'm going to the gym. I'm losing weight.
That's awesome.
But it's hard for me still to get on them because I know what struggles I go through
Mhm.
and how hard it. I mean, it's not easy. But, I see my kids falling into the same unhealthy um habits that I am, and and I feel like it's my fault. Like I did this to you.
Yeah.
You have
And
a
then
hard
you
time running
struggle.
because yeah, and then it's like I don't know. But I know if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to take care of them and make them do what they need to do to be healthy.
Mhm.
I'm doing what I can so I can be around a long time. My mom
Yeah.
died at a young age, not because of her. I mean, not because of the way her habits were, but because she had MS and she had
Right.
all kinds of other stuff. I mean, that was not something that she did to herself. But both of my parents were overweight and high blood pressure, and I learned from them. I mean,
Mhm.
I had the same bad habits that they did, and it's like I want to stop that cycle. I'm trying to, but and I see myself like, would you just get off your ass and do something? You're sitting on your phone, watching TV all day. You're locked in your room, listen to
Mhm.
Spotify, talking to your friends. I'm like, go do something.
Yeah.
But then again, they start going walking around. I'm like, well, don't go too far. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's everything is such a contradiction. It's like, uh,
Yeah.
you know.
It
But I'm
is.
like, okay, well, how about this? Let's all go on a walk as a family. Let's go
Right.
take a hike or do something. So
Yeah. Which is a
that
lot
once the
harder.
weather's back, that's going to be a bigger thing because that's something that I used to enjoy when I was like a little bit more healthy, like going and taking nice long hikes, like being in nature,
Mhm.
doing stuff like that. So I want them to be able to enjoy that too. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard for me. I mean, it's a struggle, and I feel a lot of guilt because of that. And it's
Mhm.
but part of that is getting myself where I need to be so that
I
they
mean,
could
that's
see
good
that
that
as
you're doing that.
Yeah, that you recognize it. I feel
Right.
guilty for feeding Oliver kale because I'm trying to combat that. I grew up in a culture where we ate nothing but spam and Vienna sausage and rice with every meal. And like, I didn't know what a salad was till I was like 9 years old. And nothing but ramen and junk food
Yeah.
and Kool-Aid at every meal and sweet
yeah.
tea, like just the most horrible habits. I'm a grown ass person. I'll eat like 6 vegetables, but they gotta be like sauteed in butter and fried. And you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
trying and like my salad has to be more crouton and dressing than actual salad. But with him, I was like, he's going to be better than us because we both eat like we're fucking teenagers. He's
Yeah.
Mhm.
going to eat better than us. So he'll eat like kale and all this. Like his diet is very not bland. Like we put, garlic, salt, and like pepper in. Like
Yeah.
not church it up, but it's very healthy.
Yeah.
And he'll choose fruits over candy. He doesn't ever have candy or juices and things like that. And I feel bad, but I also feel okay at the same. I don't want to say good.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm okay. But then when I see kale and whatever I give him, I'm like, I'm the worst mom ever. I know it tastes like ass. I'm so sorry.
Good. I'm the opposite of you guys. Like honestly, my son, if he doesn't like it, he's so picky, he just won't eat.
Yeah.
Like I've tried, like, well, let's, have a balanced meal with that. No, he just doesn't eat.
Yep.
And he
That's my
won't.
youngest.
Like
Yep.
I will make dinner and be like, well, just try a piece of this or this pork chop or whatever, and eat that, and he won't eat it, and he just won't. So his diet is hot dogs, chicken nuggets, fruit snacks. Like when I pack his lunch, I had to have a conversation with his teacher of, if he wants to buy a lunch and pack a lunch, please let him, because his lunchbox is snacks and a juice box. That's it. He doesn't eat sandwiches. Like he doesn't like anything cold.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to have fruit cups in the school because it's too messy. So I was like, it's snacks. It's easy
Yeah.
snacks.
You lived
and a
on fruit
juice
cups
box.
in school.
Yeah. I got a note saying I wasn't allowed to pack him fruit cups anymore. But
That's crazy.
like if he sees something in the cafeteria, he always has money. Please let him buy.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple times he'd come home. Well, they said if I packed a lunch, I couldn't buy a lunch, and I had to like call the school. I was like, no, he doesn't eat anything. Like, look at his lunchbox. I look like an awful parent because it's just snacks.
Yeah.
Chip, fruit snacks, Scooby-Doo snacks, maybe a cupcake, a Little Debbie's cupcake or something. Like he'll eat it, take it.
So
as long as he's eating, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
my youngest, because everybody always say he'll eat when he gets hungry enough. Okay, listen. I gave that boy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, that's a staple for kids, right? Like all kids eat those. I gave him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, and I was like, I'm putting my foot down. We're doing the he'll eat when he gets hungry enough thing. He didn't eat it for lunch. Put it in a sandwich bag. He gave it to him again for dinner. He didn't eat it for dinner. He didn't eat it for breakfast. He didn't eat it for lunch the next day. I was now on 26 hours of this child not even having one bite of food in his mouth. And I was like, okay, you win. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get CPS called on me for starving my child because I'm trying to pull the he'll eat when he gets hungry enough. Some kids just won't do it. But I will tell you, Judy, he is 9 now, and what I started doing was having him pick foods he wants to try, because when he picks a food that he wants to try, he almost always likes it. But when I say, here, try this new food, he's always like, "Bleh," and he will literally throw up in front of me because it's so
because he's
bad.
spiteful.
Yeah.
But I try to tell my kids, like, if you think, oh, it's going to be gross, it's going to be gross, it's going to be gross, then guess what?
Yeah.
It's going to be gross when you try it. So I started having him pick out new foods that he wanted to try. And when he picks out the foods, then he will like them. So maybe offer him $5 a week to pick out a new food that he wants to try. And even like one of the first things, this is what made me start doing it, was he wanted to try pumpkin pie. And I was like, well, let's make one. So we made one together. It was like summertime, not pumpkin pie time, but he wanted to try pumpkin pie. So we made one together. Maybe if he sees something, then hopefully he'll like it. There is hope out there. They don't stay like that forever.
Yeah, I hope as he gets older, because he does like he picked out Jell-O for school lunches. Since it's not as messy, it stays more solid. And he has it. My fridge is still stocked with Jell-O from the beginning of the school year because he ate one, told me he didn't like it. Now he won't touch it, and I don't like Jell-O. And I don't have the heart to throw it away, so it's sitting
You got
there.
a pool in the backyard?
No, I don't, unfortunately. So, but he does, he is good at like broccoli, for example. Like we go to parties and there's veggie trays.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a tree, he's infatuated with it. So he'll pick it up and he'll eat it. Ugh, I hate that. Put it down. The next party we go to a week later, picks it up because it looks like a tree, eats it. Nope, don't like that. But he's like constantly retrying it, but then saying he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm hoping as he gets older.
Butter.
Yeah. And I have
Raw
my kids
broccoli
take
tastes like
vitamins for that
ass.
reason. Okay. We should go. I did. Okay. Let me just ask you guys one more question.
God.
Sorry. Let me just ask you guys one more question, because this is something that I think about all the time. Like my earliest memories, I probably was like 3 years old, I think. We went to Niagara Falls. Anyways, my earliest memories are 3 years old. How many times a day do you think to yourself, "Oh God, please don't let this be something that he remembers for the rest of his life"?
All the time,
Yeah,
daily.
very often. I
Yeah.
am always like, "Okay, is he gonna talk about this in therapy someday? Or is this gonna be like" it's just a constant worry. Like, it being a parent, you are literally shaping a human being. Like, you are creating an adult. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of pressure. And
My
I
kids
think
are
that's why I
screwed.
feel so much guilt all the time is because there is so much riding on everything that I do every day. And I think that people don't, I don't know, I feel like I take it way more seriously than I need to. I probably don't need to stress about 90% of the things that I do, but I think that's where most of my guilt comes from is just because I'm like, "Oh my God, these are going to be adults walking around, you know, having jobs and being somebody's boss or, you know, whatever someday." Like, so stressful.
I don't ever think about it. I haven't reached that point yet, but I'm so fucking sure there'll
Yeah.
be so many times throughout his life that I'll be like, please don't let this go him. Oh my
Right.
God.
You know, like
But
the
at the same
movie.
time, I feel like you should be used to it. You know what I'm saying? I think I think he'll be fine. I think he was built for the weird shit. I'm telling you,
That's
that
true.
kid is not human. He's not. He's not human.
He's so cute though.
That's to trick you.
Yeah, that's true.
He's some type of
The
creature.
only things my kids seem to ever remember is that I do. Like falling down at Universal. Like we were going to the restrooms at Universal Studios. I didn't realize there was a curb that I was about to walk off of, and I just totally face planted it in cement. And I'm like laying there going, "Ugh," and they're laughing hysterically at me. And my daughter brings that up all the time. Like anytime I trip, "Hey, remember that time at Universal? You fucking."
I think
Like
that's
my first
fine.
day at yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like just
Yeah.
random things that I would like to forget that they keep reminding me of.
I would be okay with that, but like every time I yell at my kids or like I have one of those moments where I'm like, "Fine, you don't want to clean your room, I'm gonna throw everything away." Like those like
Yeah,
ragey rampage moments, like I feel like they're gonna remember their childhood as a chronological list of every time that I yelled at them and
Like with
nothing
Mommy
else.
Dearest.
Like,
No more hangers. You made him sit there. She was
I
like,
think I
"You will
apologize.
finish your steak."
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay.
that's how
I
they're
think
gonna
when I
remember
have
their
those
childhood.
explosive, when I have those crazy explosive moments, like half an hour later, I'm always apologizing because it's usually just because I was in a bad mood.
Right.
And so, I mean, they know. Now they just look at me if I like yell and scream. They're just like, "Okay, we're sorry, Dad."
Yeah.
All right. They're just like super chill and like, okay. So,
Yeah.
but I
We're
mean,
gonna
I
go
it's
feel
not
back to
like
our
I do
cave
that
now.
often,
yeah.
but
I
they
feel
know
like
that
I
I'm
worry about that too much.
they know that like me and my wife are under stress. We have jobs, we have bills to pay, but they're older now, so it's not like the same
Right.
things that you guys are dealing with. So they know. Like, I mean, I'm at the point now where like I drop the F-bomb every once in a while by accident, and I'm like apologetic, like I'm sorry, you guys shouldn't have heard that. They're like, Dad, we're used to it. Don't apologize. We're used to it. I'm like, but I feel like you're still like 3 and
Yeah.
5, and like you don't say those words in front of the kids. But
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
say
bad
and it's
those
mom. I
things
usually
do.
too.
I
something
say 'em.
stupid,
Yeah.
You should hear my son
I
playing
drop a
Roblox in the other
spoon.
room. I'm like, there's certain people you could swear and say those things. Don't
Yeah.
repeat it all the time. It's not good. You're not supposed to say it, but I'm a bad mom.
Yeah.
And he'll be in the other room. Shit. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I
my
felt
husband
horrible
comes home
because
yelling at
yeah,
me.
yeah, I felt horrible at one time really bad because my daughter was older, but like we got a call, like she went out with her friends for a birthday party, and like her friend's mom was texting my wife. She's like I'm not trying to be like a tattletale or anything, but does your daughter cuss this much all the time at home? And we're like, oh no, what is she saying? She's saying it in a joking manner, but she's like calling everybody a bitch and like saying the F word. Like, Oh my god. No.
Oh my god,
No.
my sweet little baby girl.
I know. Like, what are you doing?
Kids nowadays just be
No, no.
happy. Because I remember,
Yep.
like, don't curse around adults. Like, I still, when I'm around, like, my
Mm-hmm.
elders, like, my family member elders, I will not curse around them. But kids are 9, 10 these days, just willy-nilly
Mhm.
being like, man, fuck that bitch and all
Yeah.
these hoes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
where's
Yeah,
the soap and where's the parents? Because y'all got to get up on this shit. Where's the Tabasco? Use that fucking Hot Ones challenge
Yeah.
sauce if you need to, because these kids' mouths is dirty. And I know
Yeah.
I talk like a fucking sailor. That's
Right.
because I deal with children all goddamn day. So I have
Yeah.
to be like, are we feeling grumpy right now? Let's take a
Right.
look at our
Yeah.
feelings. So when I finally get to talk to adults, I'm gonna swear as much as I fucking want to. What's up?
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I know, like I knew that like after I got all embarrassed and I was thinking about like I know these kids especially because this her friend is right next to her mom. Like I know at school they're all talking that trash.
Right.
I know they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just because my daughter, just doesn't really always think about what's coming out of her mouth before she says it. She's like, and she's one of those people that feels like she's got to like be cool and just like
Yeah.
be the trendsetter type thing. So I don't know.
Oh gosh. All right. I for real have work to do though. And I know Williver said we can go later, but it is already almost 9:30. But that
Don't
went
forget the
so
word
quick.
from our sponsor.
Oh yeah, I will do that before we leave.
Simultrack, now sponsoring RU Media Network.
Did you
Dun-dun.
guys play that already? I haven't
No.
played it.
No, I
yet.
haven't even seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'll do it right before. It's 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Okay.
But yeah, that went really quick. That was fun. I feel like it was just like a therapy session. That was really nice.
That's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it needs to be done, man. Who else wants to come on? Who's coming in next week? Because it's awesome.
Should be
It's just so-
recurring.
yeah.
Y'all made me cry so much.
recurring
I'm
thing.
tired. I'm
It's-
emotionally drained. I need to take Annie out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still early for you.
It's like 8:30, but he'll be up again at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just catch a little cat nap,
Right. Cat naps and caffeine. That's what I run on.
That's what I'm on right now.
I drink that coffee at the beginning of the show, and I'm still like, oh my god, I'm gonna pass out.
Right.
Coffee doesn't even do nothing to me anymore. It's just about
doesn't,
taste.
yeah.
It's purely
Yeah.
a taste thing.
Yeah. It's just to avoid the headache at this point.
Yeah. Oh, so.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. That was so much fun.
Thank you
Thanks
for doing
having
this,
us.
Denise. You're the best.
course.
I
Yeah.
love you.
Thanks
I
for
love
having
you.
me. It was a
Thanks,
great
All of you.
Judy.
session needed.
Look, honey, you're all
Bye,
still
brother.
smiling, though. It's either laugh
On the
or cry.
outside, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Right? My insides is hella sad.
No, it is. It's either laugh or cry. And I choose to
Mm-hmm.
make jokes through my traumas. I'm not going to lie. I'm the one who will share
Comedy has always been my
Yep,
defense
exactly.
mechanism.
and
always.
that's my entire family. If any outsider walks into a family funeral, they probably think we're a bunch of assholes because we are just
Oh, I
sitting there
know.
making
Yeah, same.
jokes
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we're outside, smoking cigarettes, just laughing and hooting and
Yeah.
hollering. Like,
remember that one time
on the inside,
that
we're all
asshole
like,
did-
we're just doing this because we're trying to stay happy.
Exactly.
Oh.
It's either laugh or cry, and it takes the same amount of
I'm
energy to
uncomfortable
smile.
with pain.
I will happily come back for the like trauma joke,
Right?
session you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting through your trauma with memes. Yeah. We'll have a
Start saving them up
Meme
now.
therapy.
Why your Facebook folder is larger than your images on your camera folder.
because I can't just share it on Facebook because people would think there was something wrong with me. So I got to
Thank
send it to a
you.
certain group of people. When people start,
I always think it's
questioning
funny,
you,
like
"Are you
people like
okay?"
post that thing, like, show us your 10th photo you have on
And
your
you're
phone.
like,
I'm like,
"Ooh."
Yeah, it's
It's
like,
a-
nah,
it's
I'm
a
not trying to be
goddamn Star
hospitalized
Wars
today.
movie.
Fuck y'all. Got me fucked
People will
up.
be sending wellness
It's a-
checks.
It's a
on
trap.
Facebook. All right, guys. Well, have a good night. Everybody try to get some sleep or go scroll TikTok
night.
because your house is quiet, whatever you feel like doing.
Bye, guys.
But I love you all. Have a great night.
Love
Have a good
you.
night.
See you guys next week.